Gather round, ladies and gentlemen, friends new and old, and welcome to the Powwow Podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Philip.
And we're so excited to have you. We're really kind of trying to change things up, revamp the podcast, make it a little bit more light, fun, more enjoyable for you guys. Let me tell you about my day today. I had a very busy day filming the first self-tape in months, in a long, long time. I haven't done a self-tape in a long, long time because I haven't really been acting here. But yeah, I filmed a self-tape, and it was painful and stressful, and it took me like 40 takes because my dog barked at me, and my dad kept walking in, and he was like, oh, it's okay. Next time I'll use the back door. And it's like, well, that still makes noise, you know? Like, any noise is not good. But I got there. I contacted the casting, and I said, hey, do you want me to do this in an English accent or an American accent? And they said, send us both. So that's another reason. It took me like 40 different takes. But yeah, it worked out, and it felt really good to do it.
Yeah, you got to love it when they're like, both. Both is good. And also, it's funny because in L.A., you didn't have dog problems. That's something probably completely novel to you right now is to have to deal with. Yeah.
Well, there were all sorts of... It was usually like honking horns or sirens in LA. That was normally, yes. or like a helicopter overhead. That was pretty common, right?
Right, of course.
I remember being on set for certain things, and there would be a helicopter overhead and stuff.
Yeah, just hold for the helicopter. But yeah, no, my day's a little bit not as hectic as yours has been because mine more so just started since we're on different time schedules. But the biggest thing that happened to me today is that I walked into my room. And it just smelled weird. And I feel like that's such a thing that happens more to guys' rooms than to girls' rooms. And I'm a pretty neat guy. I'm nowhere near your anal level of just keeping everything just next level fucking clean. But mine, it's pretty all right. But it smelled a little funky. So I set up a candle. It's burning right now across the room from me. But it's really weird because I feel like that's such a guy thing to have. It's just to walk in and you just can't identify a smell, and it smells bad, and you're just, why does it smell like rotten bananas in my room all of a sudden? Ugh, just
can't relate. Can't relate. Sorry,
can't relate. Yeah, I bet not. I bet you can.
me, Mr. Anal, right?
Yeah, Mr. Anal. Yeah, is that what the kids called you in school?
Oh, God.
I'm kidding.
That is terrible.
I am kidding. Even if they did, wonderful for them. And
all right, let's move on.
Thank you, Jake Corlang. Is it Corlang like C-U-O-R, Corlang?
Say C-O-U-R... L-A-N-G.
Okay.
Jake Corlang.
Corlang. All right, because there's a U in there. Thank you so much.
No idea where that comes from.
Yeah, I don't know. But thank you so much for that nasty old little slap we got going in there. For that slaps, of course, this is the part of the segment of the show where we let you know what is something that is in entertainment that we really think slaps this week. Whether it be a movie, it be a TV show, or a song, each of us brings you something a little bit different, of a little bit flavor. I'll go first. I usually like to keep it in the music realm. For me, it's from 5 Seconds of Summer. The song is called Teeth. I actually ran for the first time in weeks to this song recently, and once you find a good song, it's like you're almost dancing on the treadmill. At least for me, I just you start hopping maybe more so than you actually running, and you're just pushing yourself through.
Yeah, especially if it matches your tempo.
Oh yeah,
like your running tempo. That's a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, your turn.
All right, this one is for those of you who love to listen to soundtracks. So I was always a big Game of Thrones fan, and this one is from Game of Thrones Season 6, and there's a song called Bastard, which, as you may expect, if you've seen it, plays during the Battle of the Bastards, and it's amazing. I recently created a playlist for all soundtracks that I love, and it's in there, and I've been jamming to it all week. It's called Bastard, and it definitely slaps.
All right, we're going to break up this particular episode a little differently this week. Normally we have a main topic and we go into detail about it. We go into little tangents. We have little tree branches. This week, though, we're going to dive in. We're not branching off. We are burrowing in, and we are going to talk about David Hoffman, the man, the myth, the legend, David Hoffman. And I've got some interview questions. Now, of course, if you've been following our socials this week, we've had a weird social week. One, of course, David Hoffman himself went forth and said we are interviewing me, so this shouldn't be too much of a surprise, and that we have a couple questions that we would like you to incorporate with us as well. But what preceded that was we asked you for a number between 1 and 5. And the reason for that is that I wanted to have you guys have input into what difficulty type of questions we're going to have. So 1 being, a throwaway yes or no question, to 5 being explain your childhood in emotions, like just absolutely ripped to the core. So the end results were we had 1 person respond 2, 4 people respond 3s, and 7 people respond 4s, no 5s or 1s in the group. So what we're going to do.
Yeah, and we concluded that people are sheep.
Yeah. But they didn't know, David, to their mind.
No, they didn't. You guys just love the number 4.
Yeah, they were drawn to it. So what we're going to do is this week is David, next week is me. I will be interviewed next week by David. And what we're going to do is both of us are going to adhere to this formula. We're going to each give out 2 difficulty of a question, 3 difficulties of 3 questions, and 7 4 difficulty questions. And I would like to propose this before I fully let you go off and just berate me. I would like to have that neither one of us, we cannot ask the same question. So I have my slate of questions, and you cannot ask me those exact same questions back. For some of these, I'll have a comment. I'll maybe give you a suggestion, or maybe how I came to this question to help you, to help stir and motivate
fair.
you. But I feel it would be too redundant.
That leads me to say, I just want to clarify. Aside from the 2 questions that we chose of the ones that I got on my Instagram from people who know me. We chose 2 of those questions to include amongst the bunch, right?
Yes, we did.
Other than that, I haven't heard any of the questions, so I'm completely blind here. No idea what to expect. Let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna start since we have 7 of them to go through. I'm gonna start off pretty hard. So let's do this. David, what is a food that makes you puke?
It makes me puke.
Yeah.
I don't have much of a weak stomach. But I suppose it used to be mushrooms, but now I absolutely love mushrooms. So, oh goodness, I think I'm gonna have to go with beets.
Beets.
I don't know if it would make me puke, but that's probably the closest thing. I don't enjoy beets.
Now I will say,
sorry, Dwight.
This is the one question that I think is acceptable for us both to have if you want. I just wanted to have the lone asterisk in there because I say that in full compliance to you, the audience. I want you to use that whenever we ask in the future, and it will be here shortly, but in the future when we ask what are some punishments, know that David does not like beets. He pukes at the sight of beets.
Yeah. I don't know if I would puke, so maybe don't waste your breath on that.
All right, next one. Have you ever slept with someone you regretted immediately after? Whether it be the morning after, or even
the morning,
right after.
Yes, and I will say nothing else.
And you choose not to go anywhere else. Okay, that's on me. I should have had a more descriptive question, but yes, you said yes. All right, let's go to a social question here that we had from the growing audience. Here we go. Out of everywhere you have lived, what place was the hardest to adjust to? And you are an international man of mystery. You're Austin Powers.
I am.
You've lived where? List all the places you've lived, so that way at least we know.
So I was born in South Africa, and I've lived in Kenya, Germany, the UK, Romania, the Netherlands, the UK again when I went for university, the US, and now the Netherlands again. So I think there's definitely something that can be said about Romania, moving to Eastern Europe for the first time. There was a lot that was tough to get used to. Another honorable mention would be the U.S. Totally different experience having grown up in Europe. That was an adjustment. Although I made the adjustment pretty well, and I loved it there. But I'd say the biggest adjustment was when I was like 6 years old, and we moved from Kenya to Germany, and the whole family, with the exception of my dad, who is German and had been to Germany many times. It was an adjustment for us living in Europe all of a sudden with cold weather, dreary, overcast, having, lived for the previous 4 years in Kenya, which was just incredible. So I would definitely say Germany, just because of the culture, it was just entirely different.
All right. The next one is a level 3. We'll take it down. Have you ever gotten so drunk you vomited? Have you gotten sloppy, Hoffman?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes, multiple times. It's not even.
Yes.
It's not even.
Yes, many times. But yeah.
Okay.
Always had a good time doing it. So.
Every time it's been.
Drink responsibly.
Yes, of course. All right, we'll go back to a 4, and then we'll move back to a 3. Out of 4, who is the person you have ever been most attracted to? So you can take this in a couple different ways.
Oh.
Yeah, but in essence, I would hope that you take this as an actual personal question of like somebody that you actually know.
It is a personal question. Yeah.
It's a 4.
Oh yeah. Okay, I understand.
As opposed to like Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to think about ex-girlfriends. At the best of times, you look at someone who you're in a relationship with, and it's everything's just amazing. Let's think other than that then.
If you want to avoid that,
Wow.
you can. But
Well, I mean, I've already said it, so.
okay, cool.
That's a really tough question. The most attracted to.
Because technically, this could also pertain
I
to
know.
friends. This could also just pertain to maybe somebody who made an impression that you never asked out, who was the person behind the counter, and you just never got the courage to ask them out, but they left a memory. They put a tattoo of themselves imprinted into your brain.
There was someone. I'm not gonna mention names, obviously. But someone I went to one of my colleges with.
Oh,
Yeah.
We are getting very big. Okay, continue.
Very vague. Yeah. I don't want to upset anybody.
Okay. Oh, but so like nothing. Come on.
Time to move on.
Okay.
Phil.
Okay. All right. All right. Fair enough. All right. Let's move back down to easier. Did you ever?
There's nothing else I could say
That would not.
about
yeah,
that.
that would
without
giving stuff
Yes.
away. Got it. All right. Did you ever blame a sibling? Because you have a couple. Did you ever blame a sibling for something you did that you can recall?
No, not really. Well, I mean, maybe trivial things like who finished the the cereal, this box of cereal. Maybe, I don't know, like trivial stuff like that. Maybe, but no, never anything serious or never anything with consequences. I've never attempted to do that I can remember.
All right. What?
I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I do believe. And at your base, you certainly are. What is your favorite homemade meal, David? You've had the luxury now to be home for a while. So when you were in the United States and you were at home in LA, what really made you salivate thinking about, God, I miss my mom's this or my dad's this or my sister's this?
My mom's lasagna.
Oh, yeah?
Probably. I mean, my mom makes amazing other things as well, like lamb shanks that we have every now and then.
I don't think I've ever had
that's
lamb shanks.
Just amazing, but yeah, they're really good. And you know what's funny is that butchers often throw them away. They're not considered, like, I don't know, it's weird. But I'm just gonna say lasagna because it really is top of the line.
All right, that was your 2 rank. That was your easiest question that you're going to get here for the rest of the night.
Yep, figured.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Here's a 3-level question. Have you ever peed your pants at an age you would be embarrassed about?
No, I mean, no. I'm trying to think of all those times I was blackout drunk, but no.
The puke and the
I
pee
haven't.
question
I don't think
come
so.
hand in hand with each other at this point.
They do. They are one. But no, I don't think I have actually, which is surprising me now that I'm thinking about it.
All right. Here's a level 3 question, your last one. So then we're going to have a slate of 4s here. Do you have a nemesis or someone you've been at odds with multiple times?
Kind of. Yeah. now this is kind of getting specific, and there's no way I can avoid it. But they're probably not listening anyway, so who cares?
Right.
Yeah, someone whom I know, who I knew that they were doing something wrong and getting away with it, and doing quite well for themselves despite what they were doing wrong. And so I got fed up, and I thought it was wrong and unfair to everyone else, and so I reported them, and they did face some consequences, not the consequences that I would have wanted them to face. I'll just say this all has to do with plagiarism.
Okay, so we're in the realm of school.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
And that person from that point on found out it was me months later, who had reported him, and has hated me ever since, and has been spreading lies about me ever since, to people whom I care about as well, which is unfortunate. But
Okay.
c'est la vie.
Yes. All right. When is the last time you cried?
Probably. Not that. Probably not that long ago. Months, not years. I like the last time I remember crying was leaving the U.S. And leaving not just this was a couple weeks after I'd left my friends in L.A. I was leaving my family, who also live in a different part of the U.S., and I was saying goodbye to my godson. And I developed such a strong relationship with him there, and I was having to leave him. And he's at a young age now where he won't. I'm not that present of a figure in his life anymore, and so that made me cry that I'm not going to be able to continue to be a guiding figure in his life, which just crushed me to say goodbye to him. But I will, I FaceTimed with him a few times here and there, and we will be reunited. For sure. And obviously here I have my goddaughter now, so.
Yeah, so either way, it kind of worked out. But listen, I personally, to take this as a personal time to just interject, because, it's all going to be about you anyway. So, but I found it,
Right.
I remember the last time that you cried around me, which was the last night you, me, and a couple of close friends spent your last night day in L.A.,
Yeah.
and it was it was interesting because you and me, while we had a lot of interactions socially, and even like a couple of hangouts alone, we did not really get close until, the blessing in disguise was COVID. But at the same time, I think it could be argued that COVID kind of really messed you over. Like you might have been able to stay had COVID not happened.
Might have,
Either
might
way,
have.
it was hard to maneuver around. But the one thing I'm grateful for in that very incredibly dark spot, especially for you that you've had to endure, is that it allowed you and me to get to a much more personal and friendlier level than we had previously met in prior instances. And so
Right.
that
Absolutely.
so that final night, like I'm one of those people, I don't really show it in front of other people, but I really do feel it in other ways. And so I'm glad that we are able to do this on a weekly basis. At the very least, we keep in constant communication. It's truly been enriching to my social ability.
Me too.
But that last night was like
Yeah, I remember that night. I remember that night very well. And like none of us. It was like 3 a.m. I had to leave at like 7:30 or 8.
Yeah.
On a 12-hour road trip.
And you were partly
'cause
driving.
I was going on a 4-day road trip. No, I actually ended up driving the whole way. Which I thank my friend for coming with me. I ended up not needing his help driving. I did offer, and he declined a couple times at certain points, and then I ended up driving the whole way. Anyway, but that night I was leaving at like 8. I was gonna drive for 12 hours, and we just none of us wanted to go to bed, and we had been playing games, and I think we even played some hide and seek.
We did. I had not played hide and seek before that point in time in my life in at easily like 8 years. I had not played hide and seek, and
oh yeah, easily. I think for me even more than that.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, easily.
Anyways,
just a little input on us and our interactions. Okay, so back to number 4. We've only got 3 questions left here. Or excuse me, 4 with a social question here. What is the worst thing you have endured because of what someone else wanted? So in essence, through what somebody else wanted or through somebody else's intentions, you endured something bad. So I don't know. It may be a parent or a sibling, somebody in your family wanted you to do something, and so therefore you did it, and it led to a bad experience. Perhaps a friend urged you to help them out, and through helping them out, you endured maybe an injury or something. I really don't know. I'm not inferring anything. I just am coming up with things that.
God, that is a hard question. I think the worst thing that I've endured because of what someone else wanted.
Yes.
I there's definitely no injuries or anything like that. Golly, tough to even think of an example.
Would you like me to give you one of mine, and then maybe it gives you a.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I had a friend who had a sister who got injured who was here in Phoenix, but then Flagstaff is where she lived, and so she got injured out here in Phoenix, and her insurance or something could only be used in Flagstaff. It was a weird ideal, and I really liked this person, and so she asked me to drive her and her sister to Flagstaff, and so I did, and because I drove them up there, long story short, I had to. We used her car to drive her and her sister. I ended up without a car and having to find a bus ticket to get back to Arizona,
Wow.
Phoenix, the next day. And so that night, not only did I have to pay for a hotel room for like 4 hours of sleep at max, because last call was at like 9 a.m. or like it was something like 10 a.m. And so it's already 5 in the morning after getting all this done, and I wasn't able to drive back with her to Phoenix. And so I'm having to, at 10 a.m., get out of the hotel, wait for some friend of a friend to come pick me up and take me to the bus stop. And all the while, it's cold. I was not prepared for the cold. I was not prepared to stay overnight in the cold. And so I'm working on 5 hours of sleep. I'm freezing. And then now I'm taking a bus back to Phoenix for an hour. And it was one of the worst events that I've ever had to endure personally. All because I really, really like somebody else. But hey, c'est la vie.
I think I don't know that this really answers the question very much. I definitely think of heartbreaks
Sure.
that I've had in the past, but that doesn't. I mean, yeah, I could list the heartbreaks that I've had, but I don't think I want to go into that. But there were, I guess, some of the hazing that I had to go through, which we were never supposed to call hazing when I joined the rugby team at university. Spoiler alert for a future
I was going to
question.
say, well, that's going to lead me into a perfect segue.
Great. Yeah, and some of that stuff, like they always said, you don't have to do it, but if you really wanted to fit in, you kind of had to do it. And so I would say that was difficult. Certain things, nothing too crazy, but it was difficult to get past that. Because for the better of the group, I guess. I
Team
enjoyed
bonding,
those things.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
All right, which perfectly leads me into a social question we got. Did you ever play competitive sports? We just got that. Did you play any beyond rugby? And then a favorite anecdote while playing sports?
Okay, so I ran cross country and track and field in middle school, and then in sophomore year of high school, I played volleyball, which was fun. I'm actually I'm even wearing this sweater. That was totally unintentional.
Look at that.
I'm wearing my ash volleyball sweater from high school. And then I played in junior and senior year of high school, and then all through university I played rugby, and yeah, I got a lot better at it. Anecdote. Goodness. That's a tough one. I don't know that I really have an anecdote. I learned a lot of leadership skills because I got to be the first ever we introduced a fourth team. So we had first, second, third, and fourth team. I wasn't that great at rugby, so I was in the fourth team for some time, third and fourth, and I got to be captain of the fourth team. And in our very first game, we won, and I got to be the captain of that game. So yeah.
Well, there you go. Now, is that the same idea with football or something, that you get like the game ball or something? Or
Oh no. We didn't have the budget for that kind of thing.
oh, fair enough. All right. Last three here. Is there an action that you see that always makes you uncomfortable? So, again, if you need inspiration, I'm thinking like for me, it's if I ever see or hear breaking bones, even though I know in the movies it's like somebody breaking celery, but especially if it's like a sports injury and I know it's real or something, and like bones popping out of the skin, or somebody puking, or
I think this is maybe this is a little bit obvious, but any sort of non-consensual touching or sexual acts that happen in like movies, or if I see it at like bars and stuff, then it makes me extremely uncomfortable. I get tense, and there have been cases where I've done something about it. If it's been like, if I've been there in person, yeah.
Egregious, and you're there, yeah. Last two fours here. Was there a moment, or was there an event where you knew you had to be an actor?
Knew I had to be an actor. No, I have a fun story about the rugby team. We had to, as everyone who was in our first year, we had to put on a nativity play, which was all a big joke at the time. So they made all the seniors made us put on a nativity play, and when we were rehearsing, one of the guys was like, "Listen, we know that we don't care about acting. We know none of you are ever going to win an Academy Award." And I was like, "Damn it, you. I'm going to win. One day I'm going to win an Academy Award, and I'll show you." So maybe then I was like, I have to go, and I at least got to try be in movies,
And that leads us to our last question. Do you think you are talented enough to make it as an actor? And if so, what gives you that reassurance?
I think we all do, all artists. I have so much self-doubt, and like when people compliment my performances, it feels amazing. Like, it really does. I it's touching, and it fills you with, like, that's what you do it for, like when you actually get the response you wanted, when you receive the feedback, when you've put your heart into something and you receive that feedback, it's amazing. But like, after a while, that dies down, and like, if it's been a while, then you start to, just the doubt really sinks in. So can you read me the question again?
Yeah. Do you think you're talented enough to make it as an actor? And if so, what gives you that reassurance?
I think I am. I've been doing it for a long time, and I trust that people would have told me, people who love me would have told me that I maybe this is not for you, So I am confident that I'm good enough. Especially, like, I do think that there are lots of people who quote unquote make it, who are maybe have other talents. We'll put it that way. But I was told that, like in high school, which maybe wasn't great for my ego, but I was told that I could. We did some guy came to watch our high school theater class, and I was told that I could walk into any acting school in the entire of the UK. Like, I would get in easily, basically, which, I'm not trying to make myself sound amazing. Like, I think I had a lot to learn at that point, still do, like I'm really, really, on the grand scheme of things, quite new at this. I haven't been acting professionally for very long, so, but I do think I have what it takes to make it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was prompted. It wasn't like you're just like, hey, by the way, Philip, I just want to stop talking about jelly beans. What's our favorite one? I just want to say that I am the world's best actor, and I humbly say that. Like, I asked you a question, so it's fine. You can be a little unhumble if you're prompted as such. So, okay, all right, there we go. Was that my final question? I suppose, was that as terrible as you might have feared? Was that as horrible an experience? It could have been?
It wasn't, but there were a couple questions that it's so hard to on the spot, like when we're on recording a podcast, and I have to
Right.
think of something. I can't just
Right.
sit here thinking for 15 minutes while people are on their run listening to our podcast, and I'm just going, I don't know, I don't know. So it
It's
yeah,
the
it
on
was
the
tough.
spot
There were
impromptu.
certain questions that hit me, and I was like, "Ugh, I don't know if I can answer this in any reasonable amount of time," but it wasn't so bad. So I'll keep that in mind when I'm putting together yours next week.
Yes, yes, yes. And again, to remind everybody, he will be adhering to the same formula of difficulty of questions. I
Yep.
don't get any layups, but I also don't get any piercing questions to the heart of my soul. So that's going to
Right.
reassure me. And if you happen
Eh,
to listen to this, I'll be posting at some point on my social of suggestions for questions. So
And
if
we
you
will
want to learn something
choose
about me,
we will choose a couple of those as well.
yes, we will. Yes, we will.
And you can always make them piercing if you want.
That's the workaround, isn't it?
Okay, we move on to the fun factoid of the week, and I'll go first. We're getting close to Oscar season, which is getting me really excited. And my fun factoid for you guys is The Lord of the Rings Return of the King, Titanic, and Ben-Hur are all tied for the most Oscar wins by a single film. They each won 11 Academy Awards.
I think I would have been able to list all three. Well, Lord of the Rings might have been tough, but I knew Titanic and Ben-Hur. I don't know that I would have known the number that they won. But either way. So my fun factoid of the week is alcohol doesn't cause you to forget what happened. Your brain simply stops forming new memories when you've had too much to drink. Which, if we're
So-
talking about puking and such, yeah, you have a few gaps in your memories, I'm sure.
I do, yeah. I mean, so it's not like it's not deleting the videos. It's just it's not recording at all.
Correct, absolutely.
Gotcha. Cool.
All right, we go to once more, and we usually like to make it accompany the main topic to some degree. And for this one, I thought the best way that we could do this was to each answer honestly what the best and worst thing about David Hoffman is, or at least what we feel is the best and worst thing. And I remember pitching this to David. He's like, "God, man, this is the most brutal process I've ever been." And I've been interviewed about whether or not to be a U.S. citizen, and I'm like, "Listen, David, this is not going to be that hard." Yeah, I'm coming from a friend person. At least I'm not that douche who's going around and spewing lies about you. I have a caring heart here for you, so it's not going to be too bad. So he begrudgingly accepted
Thank you,
this.
Phil. Thank
He
you.
begrudgingly accepted this. Do you want to start with worst or best? I'll allow you to go, and then we'll kind of sandwich it together.
Let's start with worst.
Okay.
Let's finish on a high.
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Fantastic.
do.
My worst, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I've seen you in far too many European shorts, and you bending over to last me a goddamn lifetime. You are a hairy bastard, and I've seen things that I feel many women would love the privilege of, but yet it's far too much. And honestly, that really is my worst, because I actually adore you, and if we did not have such a good relationship, I don't know that we would be able to work like this. So I feel like some people might say, boo, we wanted more. But honestly,
Those are rugby shorts.
yeah, I don't give a what the hell they are. They're too damn short is what there's the shorts, and then there's like a Speedo, and it's come borders on that. Anyways, your worst about David Hoffman.
This is actually like I took this seriously. I don't like how lazy I am. I'm really like I'm awful, and I procrastinate even with things that I love. So that is easily my least favorite thing about myself.
Fair enough. Like you said, I did actually take it seriously. I'm sincere when I think of like what do I not like about David Hoffman. There's really not that much, because if there were, I don't know that I would necessarily attribute that to a healthy working relationship. So
Right.
that's not to say like I don't know if you smelled or something. Obviously, since we're doing remote podcasts, I don't think that I would take that to be like, well, I can't work with him. He smells. That doesn't make sense. But I'm sincere when I'm saying like that's probably the worst thing. You're a really great guy. So the
Okay.
best
No,
thing about David Hoffman.
This time I'm gonna go first.
Go ahead.
The thing I love about myself is I think I'm very empathetic. I'm very good at acknowledging people's perspectives, even when I disagree with them, or at least sort of understanding what's behind that perspective. I think I have I think I do that more than people whom I know quite well who very much don't do that.
No, that's good. That's good, and I actually would agree. You're very much an empath. I would say that your best, and again, this is just the best. Like I had to come up with one. So I was like, there would be a multitude of people like, what are the best things about David? So the best thing that I thought of that I thought would be most touching to at least you, instead of like, oh, his pancakes are the best. Like that's whatever. But your thought process, it feels very similar to mine. I think that we at least communicate on a very genuine level that I don't always find with other people. So I very much appreciate and find to be your most attractive and best quality to me is your thought process. All right, David, after that massive interview, I thought I might make a game out of some of the more exciting questions I asked. So I have 5 questions again, and there will be multiple choice selections afterwards. So you need to get 3 right to win this week. Are you ready?
Okay,
All right.
I'm ready.
All right, we talked about what food makes you puke. So I ask you, David, which of the following words means the fear of food? Is it, and all these are real phobias, it's just a matter of me actually pronouncing them correctly. Is it chibophobia? B, pteromaher, pteromaharnophobia, or is it C, lalapsophobia? So chibophobia.
Can you say C again?
Yeah. Chibophobia, pteromaharnophobia, or lalapsophobia.
Oh goodness. I'm gonna go with A. Total guess.
A is the correct one,
Yes.
you're saying? Is the one that means... Oh, yes. You're absolutely correct. You're
Yes!
on the board. It is chibophobia. The second one that I absolutely butchered, pteromaharnophobia, is fear of flying.
Uh-huh.
And the lapsophobia is fear of tornadoes and hurricanes. All right. We move on. We talked about what makes you so sure that you are going to make it as an actor. Which of the following is the name of an actor who did actually make it? And you'll understand once I go here. Sammy Gardner, Will Sinclair, or Aubrey Graham?
I'm guessing these are like names of actors who then decided on a stage name or something.
Correct.
Okay. Can you say them again?
Yes. Sammy Gardner, Will Sinclair, and Aubrey Graham.
I'm gonna say Aubrey Graham. Complete guess. I have no idea.
You are 2 for 2, my friend. Aubrey Graham is AKA Drake. It's his middle name. And he's an actor because he made it into Degrassi. That's how he made his big debut. So there we go.
That's kind of funny actually, because I totally figured Aubrey Graham was
A girl?
was a woman. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's why I put him in there. All right, we talked about the home-cooked meal you most enjoy or look forward to. According to a survey by a 2020 Family Dining Report, which was the most popular amongst those polled to be cooked at home during this past COVID-filled year? Was it A, pasta and or noodle dishes, B, meat-based dishes, or C, pizza made at home? A, B, or C there.
Can you say the question part of it again?
Yeah, which was the most popular amongst those polled to be cooked at home during this past COVID-filled year, so in 2020?
Okay, I'm gonna say pasta and noodle based.
You are on the board for the wrong reasons. It is, you are
Okay.
incorrect. It was meat-based dishes by 68%. 68%
Wow,
of people
wow.
really dipped their toes into meat. I'm going to stop right there. We talked about if you had ever had so much to drink, you had puked. According to an article by the University of Denver, at what blood alcohol content level would you begin to feel symptoms leading you to puke? Would that be at A, 0.10, B, 0.14, or C, 0.20?
Okay, considering that you can still, in some countries, you can still drive at 0.08, then I don't think it's 0.10. but maybe 0.20 seems kind of high, but maybe that's why I should go for that. Okay, I'm gonna go with 0.20.
David, I want you to look down at your calendar. I want you to look at the time because you just guaranteed the first win of the podcast.
Yes.
You got the first win, man.
You know what's crazy is that here it's 11, 11, 11.
Look at that. Look at that. We are on top of the game today. We are bringing it for you, the people, because
It was destiny.
It was destined to happen.
Although I will admit, on my clock it says 23:11.
Well, there you go. All right. We talked about earlier whether or not you feel as if you have a nemesis. I would very much like to combine that with your world traveling skills and see if you know which one of these is not a foreign word for nemesis. All right? Here we go. Let's butcher some foreign words. Iadun, which is Arabic. Teadiki, which is Greek. Or C, Naiz, which is Mongolian.
Nice.
Nice.
I feel like the Greek ones kind of sounded like they. What was it? Say it again.
Teadiki.
Okay, it was kind of like they a dicky, right? They a dick. E.
Maybe. So
I'm
which one's the fake one?
For
Two
that
of them
reason,
are. Yeah.
For that reason, I'm gonna say that one, just because it can't be. That one is the Greek one is the one that doesn't mean nemesis.
Thank God you locked in the correct answer last time because you would have been wrong this one. That is the correct form of how to say nemesis in Greek. Mongolian, naiz, is actually Mongolian for friend. So
nice.
Nice. Yeah, there we go. I don't know how it works. So let's go over the scores here quickly. David is making history on the Powwow podcast. His first win in Powwow podcast history. Attaboy, we love it. We have a winner. First victory in Powwow podcast history goes to you. I'm hoping it's the last one you ever have. Way to go.
Thank you, Phil.
We now go to a new segment in the podcast. This was brought to us by some listener interaction. So as much, we aim to be one of those podcasts that strives on social interaction. So please, if you have a thought, if you have a question, by all means, hit us up. We talk. We're there. We'll be there. Anyways, and it's called Random Question of the Week. Now, what this is it can have absolutely nothing to do with our main topic, once more, with anything we talked about earlier. Just an absolute random question of the week, either that popped up in our heads earlier in the week or right now as we go along, whatever it may be. But it has to be absolutely random, and when we ask the other person, they have to answer and take it with all forms of sincerity. So I will start us out, David. I want to ask you, do you know how a tranquilizer dart works?
No. Well, no, I guess I don't.
Can you imagine how in your words, how would you describe that it does work?
Okay,
we
so
all
a
know
tranquilizer
that it works.
dart, it shoots out of a gun, a tranquilizer gun, or you throw it like a lawn dart, and
or a blow one.
Yeah, sure. And it hits you and pierces your skin, and the impact forces the tranquilizer liquid into your body and then into your bloodstream, and then once it reaches your brain, it totally knocks you out.
That's so undignified, because I feel like that's right. That's exactly what I would have said. So it feels so undignified though, because if you imagine that going slow mo, it's probably dripping like a pimple or something just from the tip of the needle. It's disgusting, actually, if you think about it. All right, your random question of the week.
You're packing for a 3-day trip. How many pairs of underwear is it appropriate to pack?
At least. Ooh. Okay, it's appropriate to pack 4, but I would suggest 5 because 4 gives you 1 extra for each day. But depending on where you go, and if you're going on vacation, chances are you're going to like the beach. Chances are you're going to somewhere where there's a pool where you will need a change of clothes. So I would say 5 just for that 1 day of oh, you know what, I changed from fancy clothes to casual clothes, or reverse that. So I would say 5, but in all fairness, if you're just going to visit relatives or something, 4 is the way to go.
All right, thank you guys so much for listening. We got a few thank yous. Thank you to Cass and Crossland for that intro and outro music, and to Jake Corlang, my good friend, for that lovely slappity slap bass line.
Oh, slap it all, slap it down. And thank you so much to Tara Amstutz, who eventually I'm going to sound much more comfortable saying it, because every time I'm a nervous wreck saying your name. Thank you so much for all of your artwork on the podcast. We will be always continuously shouting you out because of how freaking beautiful it is.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. We are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, Google, and iHeartRadio, not Pandora.